model is here, or Shara model is here. So sometimes we may be asking you to compare Berlos or Shannon-Weaver model, or Osgood model, and Dancy's helical model. Compare these kind of questions you can expect, right? So comparison or short notes or these kind of questions will come to your finals. And for your practicals, of course, these are not important for your practicals, but for the theory, these are fairly important. So then we will see one by one the linear model. In the quick summary, linear models explain one directional communication. That is now what is happening here. For instance, you never ask, you never interact, you never ask questions, or you never interact, just keep quiet. I don't know whether you are sleeping or listening or playing or I don't know. So even in class, most of you guys are like this, So you are not much interacting. I'm very much disappointed. So you should interact, because you have to make use of us. Then only we will be also very attentive and we will be preparing for it. If you are listening whatever we are talking, then we will lose our motivation and we won't bother. We think that, okay, whatever we talk, these students will listen. So why should I want to improve myself, right? So we are being paid to teach you. And if you are having any doubt or clarification, please interact with the teacher, right? Okay. So linear models always says it's one-way communication, one direction. It's being communicated along one direction, right? So example for this Aristotle model. So I'm not going to discuss this Aristotle model and each and every communication model in detail, because within 1 hour we can finish. And second thing is, you are grown-up children and you have already qualified the advanced level and entered to the university. University education means that we will give you the basic fundamental ideas and the skeletal. You have to pursue it. You have to read it and understand, right? Give me a minute, please. Hassan, Diamond Pan. Now, Aristotle models here, then you can see these diagrams are important, right? Remember, rather than writing 1,000 words, diagrams will replace 1,000 words, right? It will simply explain what you want to take. So whenever you want to, particularly for the communication models, try to incorporate all the diagrams. Even for the discussions, the graphs are what I have taught you. They are important, right? You are not afford to miss even a single graph. You haven't studied much graph, but the graphs what you have written or we have discussed in the class should be incorporated in your writings, right? So in models also it is important, these things, speaker, speech, audience, and effect. So this is the occasion. One way this arrow explains it, the communication is traveling in one direction, right? And then Lasswell's models, from the diagram itself, you read this, right? You read and you can find these TV, radio, block, and these kind of examples. And you should know all these examples, right? So I will upload these notes. You have to read. You are expected to read and understand all these things. But from the diagram itself, you can understand the difference between the previous model and this model, right? Speaker, message, medium, audience, and effect, right? Which is the additional one we are having here?
Medium.
Medium, good. So here we are having medium in addition. So it is speaking about a medium which is not available in the previous model. And it is one directional communication. You can see TV, radio, and blocks written in the virtual medias. You can see some people are having their own blocks. So they will be able to interact with the audience. They are writing their opinions and critiques and all that. You can see nowadays the political writings are coming in blocks, right? So who that means speaker. I speak to you. what is that is message. A message is being sent through the medium. A channel is being used. That is TV channel, radio channel. There are different channels. So example, to whom? That is audience. Audience are sitting, and TV people are not concerned of who are sitting and whether they are watching carefully or not. That is up to the audience. But if the program is interested, people will be watching it. And TRP, total public review, that means how many people see a channel is a reputation to the channel. That will bring more money, more returns to the channel. Okay. So then the effect, if you can make an effect, if people are interested, then again and again they will be watching your channel, listening to your channel, right? So that is a success of a communication, right? So these are with your day-to-day experiences. I don't need to tell you, right? So here you have a table. This is with the example components, and you can, by seeing this, you can understand very clearly. Then, of course, channel weaver model. This is also one-way communication, and it has a diagram like this, right? So here you can send a encoder and decoder, right? Here you have a component called encoding and decode, right? Here you transmitter and reception, right? Transmitter and reception. So here you can encoding a message, and then when my voice reaches your ears, and it will be decoded, and you will understand it, and that message will be sent to your brain. It is an instantaneous happening, right? Immediately it is happening. We are not thinking, oh, now the message is coming from my teacher, or now I am hearing, oh, now I heard that, now I am thinking. No, we don't have a time to do all these things. It is involuntarily, it is happening very fast. It is in a very nano fraction of a second, very fast happening all these things. So he explained, Shannon Weaver explained, a model like this, right? Then Berlow's SMCR model. Let us see what is SMCR. Then source, message, channel, and receiver. This is the SMCR model, right? Source, message, channel, and receiver. So he explained about the model based on the SMCR, right? So it is a very popular model. You can go through it and understand. So Berler's SMCR model is being explained like this. Sources, what are the sources and what are the medium? An example for channel and receiver. So receiver, of course, you know that it depends on communication skill, attitude, knowledge, social system, and culture. So receiver, we listen to the program similar to our culture, right? Otherwise, we won't listen. And hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting. The channels, of course, you are doing all these things. You may not saying that I'm not touching or smelling or tasting, but your mind is when a cookery or the home science class or the the chef is explaining about a menu, then you will feel the taste of it. The way that they say, oh, it tastes very good. It's nice. So, you might have seen the program like this. So we already know the taste, what is hot, what is sweet, and what is bitter. We know that. So the effectiveness of communication is to make you to feel all these things. So because you are hearing, you are seeing, and touching, smelling, and tasting, the effective communication will make you to feel all these stuff, right? So read it and you will understand it. Then the interactive models. The second category, of course, one-way model, and then interactive model. Interactive model, the brief, quick summary is, of course, interactive models are best for explaining impersonal two-way communication process, right? Impersonal means personal means one-to-one communications. This is impersonal two-way communication. It is speaking to a group, and maybe two groups interacting, or one individual and a group interaction, something like that, right? So examples for this, Osgood-Sharam model, and how he has explained the model. This is the way he has explained. This is two-way. So far you have seen one way. This is two-way. So, first one is a linear model. This is interactive model. So you can see that then again the reply is coming. Message is it is traveling in both directions. Reciprocal process, right? So encoder, interpreter, decoder. Decoder means whatever the message you receive, that has to be decoded. Encoding means before you are sending the message, you have to encode it, right? Interpreter means your mind, of course, interpreting whatever you receive or whatever you send. Here, the same thing is in the other end as well. No difference between sender and receiver. Both are doing the same. Encoding and decoding sent by both people, both parties, right? Because it's a reciprocal communication, right? So this is the basic for you to understand. Wesley and MacLean model. So you can see Wesley and MacLean model, how it is working. And there are notations were given. And, suppose if I have started writing this, all these things, the idamadi, right? We don't have a space. So that's why I have listed out these alphabets and it was written here. So you can read it and understand what is X, and all X's are environmental factors, right? So X2, X1, X square, and A, C, B, and F, and all that feedback, and X1, X2, X3 are explained, and you can see, right? These are very simple, and you will be able to understand. And the transaction models, right? Transaction models. This is the last model of the communication. Transaction model explain direct personal communication. That is, impersonal communication is the previous one, right? So linear communication, first you have seen, then of course you have seen, in the beginning I told you, we are going to see, right, linear models, interactive models, and transactional models. Linear model, of course, one way. Interactive model, of course, two way. Reciprocal communications, but impersonal communications. Transaction models are personal communications, but it is also kind of an interactive model, right? Hope you can understand, right? So now we are going into the transactional models. So transactional models explain direct personal communication process where two-way feedback is immediate. So two-way feedback immediately happening. It is not immediately when people are talking to each other, not today, and then of course you are giving back the message on the exam. Or you immediately Viva, for the Viva, of course you are immediately uttara dena. Udanadiya padil solving. But in the exam, now I am teaching, but you are giving the response in the writing, in the written form. That is in a sometime later, right? So transaction models, but the personal communications, they are personal communication, right? So Berland's transaction models, which is the first model under the transaction model. Then Dancy's helical model, right? So if you read this, you will be able to understand helical model and all that. Then the final thought, of course, I have summed up all these models: linear model, transaction model, and interactive model. So this is what are the pros and cons. These are very important as far as your exam is concerned, right? Pros and cons of each model. Pros means advantage, cons means disadvantages. So in the linear model, you have good at audience persuasion and propaganda settings and international results, right? Intentional results means you intended a results and that will be achieved, right? Please give me a minute. Good morning, Prabha. Oh, okay. then good at audience persuasion and propaganda settings, right? You know, audience persuasion means that you can take election, chanda. Then intentional results. People, the people will do their propaganda, right? They will go to each and every places and they will speak. They will be speaking to the people, and people will be sharing at them. Oh, and clapping the hands and all that, and that is happening. You have seen this, right? So, but other intentional results means what they expect. That is. At the end, there will be an election and people are casting their votes. Minister Chanda Denava, Eka Ganangarla Banana Kota, Egonda Tirnoa, Api Dinuda Natadaki, right? So the message is given, the stage speeches and all that. Madela Boy Pesi, election Nadakranal and people Akal Vanda Vakalipu Nadati, Vakalipu Enina Pratherium, Umada communication effective, right? Though the disadvantage of this model is communication is not continuous, has no concept of feedback. So nobody is asking about the feedback in the election campaigns, for instance. They will be speaking. The propaganda means they are speaking to the audience. They are speaking to the public, right? And no way to know the communication was effective. So if whether your communication is effective or not, when do we will become to know? That is on the election day, right? If you are if you have won the election, then of course that means you have communicated well, and your subordinates have communicated well, and your party won the election, right? That is kind of an example, right? And then transactional model also, you have pros and cons, right? So you know that here you have simultaneous and instant feedback. Here you have, because this is two-way communication, so immediately you are getting a feedback. No discrimination between sender and receiver. You know, when you are speaking to someone phone, dorakatene katha karna kota dennema katha karno. Uttara denawa immediately. Phone lo oraloda kaichundu keke udanadiyawe ungala padil veradu neenga kaikringa. You are speaking to them, I mean immediately eyath katha karno, right? So these are the advantages. What are the disadvantages? Encourages non-verbal communication, right? When two are seeing each other, it encourages non-verbal communication. You can anivaring cutting thamai katha karanna onne, right? More noise due to communication taking at the same time. You know, when people are talking to each other, අපි ඉන්න ඇතුව වෙලාව පන්තියෙන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට දන්නවා කොච්චර මේ ශබ්ද වෙනවා කියලා. මේ ආචාර්ය කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා පන්තිය ගත්තා පස්සේ යා යනවා ආය අනිත් එක්කන එන්න ඉස්සලා එළියේ ඉඳලා ඕගොල්ලන් බලන්න ඕන කොච්චර ශබ්ද අර මේ පොළ වගේනේ තියෙන්නේ. එච්චර ශබ්ද එනවා පන්තියේ ඉඳලා. එතකොට ඔක්කොම කතා කරන්නේ එක්කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා කතා කරන්නේ ඔක්කොම කතා කරනවා එක්කෙනෙක් එක්කෙනෙකුට කතා කරනවා එක්කෙනෙක් දෙන්නෙකුට කතා කරනවා ඒ වගේ තමයි one to one reciprocal communication, you know, everyone is speaking. මෙයා කියනවා එයා කියනවා මෙයා ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් කතා කරනකොට ඔයාට ඕගොල්ලෝ තියෙනවා ඒක reciprocal communication. ஒரு lecturer class எடுத்துட்டு மற்றவர் வாரதுக்கு இடையில வெளியில இருந்து பார்த்தா தெரியும் சந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு சத்தம், அவ்வளவு சத்தம் என்ன. It is an example for reciprocal communication. ஒரு ஆள் கதைக்குது மற்றவர் பதில் சொல்றேன், மற்றவர் கதைக்கிறார் இவர் பதில் சொல்றேன், right? So it's a kind of a very typical. So you will get confused because it's a babble confusion. When you are standing outside, you won't be able to understand anything, right? එළියේ එනකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ට කිසිම දෙයක් ඇහින්නේ නැහැ. ශබ්ද ගොඩක්. නමුත් ඕගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ මොනවද කතා කරනවා කියලා. ලවලව කියන අහනවා එච්චර, right? இப்படி சத்தம் கேட்கும் மொழியே ரெண்டுமே உங்களுக்கு கேட்காது, right? So this is the feature of that advantage and disadvantages of the transactional models. And then you have the interactional model here, interactive model or interactional model. Here you have the pros and cons. Pros mean advantage. feedback even in mass communication. Even in mass communication, you are speaking to mass people, new communication channels. There are new possibility for new communication, and even when I am speaking to a mass or group of people, but possibility of getting a feedback, right? And cons mean feedback can take a very long time. Exam. I don't know whether you have understood or not, but the feedback will come, but it will take a very long time. Sender and receiver might not know who the other person is. So now I don't know actually. My students are there, 1-2 students are there, but you are listening. I don't know who are sitting in the other end. Maybe your friend may be also sitting, and your parents may be also sitting, and your sisters and your siblings may be also sitting. So this is kind of a typical example for that, right? So in summary, these are the communication models, and today you have seen 3 communication models, right? And so back to the first page. You have studied 3 communication models, 3 categories. The models of communication can be split into 3 categories, that is linear models, interactive models, and transactional models, right? And examples for each models and the difference between each models. So examples for each models and advantages of each models and disadvantages of each models, and the definition for each communication models you are expected to know, right? Any clarifications, any questions? Any questions, students? Okay, in the absence of questions, I will stop here, and I will catch you in next Tuesday morning, right? I have already sent you the link. So today I got late, sorry. So next Tuesday we will be discussing about the education, right? Extension is an education process. That means you are giving knowledge, disseminating knowledge in both ways, reciprocally. Farmers are sharing their experience and their struggles and their challenges to the laboratory people, and laboratory people are disseminating knowledge or exchanging their thoughts to the farmers. So messages and communication are reciprocal. It is happening, right? So education is an important part of extension. So I'll be discussing about that in the next class. Okay. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.